Hello everybody and welcome again to Tailgate Talk Week 3 as we're here to break down Class B in both the Campbell Conference and the Pine Tree Conference. Randy Whitehouse, Kalle Oaks coming to you here from Libby Field at Levitt Area High School, where Levitt won't be playing this Friday night. They'll be on the road. We'll get to them in a minute. The marquee matchup of the week, I think most of us, when we heard that Jay and Livermore Falls were no longer going to be schools and teams in Class E, that they were going to come together as a Class B football program, the game that a lot of us circled on our calendar was that new Spruce Mountain Regional High School playing against Mountain Valley on September 16th, the third week of this season. Now last Friday night in Spruce Mountain's home opener, a 33-7 loss to Falmouth. Is the bloom off the rose a little bit, or is this game still the game that we thought it would and could be?
I think the starch has been taken out of it a little bit. The Phoenix are obviously still trying to figure themselves out. The big weapon last 2 weeks has been Bill Calden, 333 yards on the ground in week 1. Looked like he was headed there with an 84-yard touchdown around the first quarter last week against Falmouth, and then Falmouth just shut him down, shut down the passing game. Spruce Mountain hasn't been able to get any consistency in the passing game so far. So, Mountain Valley's going to be focused on shutting down Calden once again, and the Phoenix have to figure out some other way to move the ball, especially against a Mountain Valley defense that has just buckled down against a couple of former Class A teams in Westbrook and Marshwood these last 2 weeks. The Falcons last week, down at the half, 8-7. We've seen that kind of thing before. They've gotten off to a slow start and come out roaring in the second half, which they did. They've had pretty good balance on offense, especially with their running game. Week 1 was Matt Hosey, who had the big game, over 200 yards. This past week is Kyle Doogie, who had a big second half effort, 3 touchdowns. Certainly, while Mountain Valley was searching for a little bit of offense early in the year, they're far ahead of where the Phoenix are at this point. It's still going to be, I think, a big atmosphere there. You got two communities that used to facing off against each other in the Mountain Valley Conference. It's still going to be have a big game atmosphere. If the Phoenix can make a statement early on, get a couple turnovers, get a couple scores, then we might have a ball game.
One thing I'm sure makes the Falcons and their fans happy, instead of a 2-hour and 15-minute one-way bus ride, maybe 30 minutes this week. That'll be a lot better for them. The other matchup we're talking about in Class B is still about 3 weeks away. Levitt and Mount Blue. It'll be their first meeting on the football field ever. They've still got some business to take care of before then. Of course, Mount Blue dropping down into the Eastern B Division from Eastern A. Levitt, the champion of that Eastern B Division the last 2 years, going up against a team in Morris at Bath that was a nemesis of Levitt for a long time in the last 2 years. Of course, with Levitt steamrolling everybody, Morris has just been part of that parade.
Yeah, Morris is going to continue to be part of that parade this year. Levitt and Mount Blue, neither one, it doesn't look like is going to be challenging until they face each other or Gardner. Levitt just last week just absolutely rolled over Belfast. Jake Willett had a dream game for a football player.
Never got tackled.
Touched the ball 3 times. Ran them all for touchdowns, never got touched. I mean, that's the way to do it. When you can wake up the next morning not too sore and still score 3 touchdowns, you're pretty happy. But other guys were involved in the offense as well. Jordan Hurstman had a couple long touchdown passes. Ian Durgan and Sam Green very heavily involved in the offense. And I think Oscar Rodriguez also had some involvement. So I think the idea right now for the Hornets is to just get as many people involved in the offense, get as many people accustomed and playing as well as they can in this offense. That way, when they do have that big matchup, they have different options to go to.
Last week, of course, the You Can't Get There From Here game was Mountain Valley at Marshwood. This week, it's certainly Mount Blue at Mount Desert Island. It's a long way from Chesterville to Bar Harbor, isn't it? What other than the ridiculously long trip for the fans and the Cougars do we need to know about this game?
Well, they're taking a couple things out of the first 2 weeks from the Cougars. Number one is how well their defense has played. Their defense was the big thing responsible for their run last year to the Class A semifinals, and they seem to have picked up right where they left off. The other thing is that Isaiah Tracy and Eric Berry seem to be thriving very well in the backfield together. It's a little bit of a question of that coming into this season. Isaiah Tracy, of course, got hurt middle last year. Eric Berry took over, did a fine job. It's a question of, with both back, would there be enough carries for both of them? And so far, it's been a terrific arrangement. Gary Parlin vowed to make it work in preseason. So far, he has. Isaiah Tracy had 3 touchdowns last week, 1 on a punt return. Eric Berry had a couple touchdowns last week. The passing game seems to be doing pretty well with Jordan Whitney so far. So they seem to be clicking on all cylinders right now.
In the other Class B game, Great New Gloucester will be playing Wells, and well, we try to keep it positive here, so we're going to mention that the Patriots scored their first points of the season last week and lost to Freiburg Academy. Anything else to add?
Not really, no.
Okay. On behalf of Randy Whitehouse, I'm Kalle Oakes for Class B football. This was Tailgate Talk. Come for everything to sunjournal.com Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all week long. The printed edition as well. Game coverage, notebooks, previews, features, we've got it all.
Predictions.
Predictions too, yeah, we've got to keep track of those. I think I tied him last week. We'll see you on the sidelines.